So just to give you a quick overview, we are in the dashboard. The dashboard has a little bit of explanatory text. These, to a lot of the documentation is already online, so you feel free to explore my connectors, saved queries, etc. You'll see links to these functionalities here, but they're also explained in different places. For in-depth documentation, you can click here to go explore that. The commands that are on the left also appear in the dashboard itself, the main dashboard itself. So my connectors here is the same as my connectors here. We just give you multiple ways to get to that, get to the functionality. And it's a repeat of what appears on the left for the most part. We also have at the bottom here, there is a little chat bot that you can interact with the AI. This basically is an MCP server that knows all about the TriggerWare software, and you can, if you want to ask questions that are not directly answered by all the options that you see, you can certainly click on this. Let me just clear the prior dialogue. So you can ask anything you want. So, for instance, I just mentioned what a connector was. So you can ask that kind of question. What is a connector? And this is fed into the AI, and you kind of, this is the exact kind of chatbot interaction that you would have in any open-ended way. And this gives you a sort of much more formal description of what I just told you. So any triggerware concept about which you are confused and you don't want to go through the documentation, etc., you can certainly go through the chatbot and ask a few questions. By the way, the chatbot also gives you ways to look at my connectors and custom connectors. And once you know these concepts, you can actually use the AI there as well. But you can also keep it very generic and find out, what are the limitations of triggerware, what are some of the powerful use cases, etc. So this gives you an open-ended way of dealing with the AI through natural language. You could type in English and get back English. What I want to do now is to just walk you through the basic overview. You've seen the chatbot, my connectors. As we mentioned, TriggerWare ultimately comes down to everyone's personalized connectors. Your connectors are the connectors that you alone have. No one else has these connectors. And when you click on it, you'll see a bunch of a table here that describes the name of the connector, what category it is in, whether it's been fully configured. And because this is AI, you can actually run the connector and as a query and kind of see what kind of data it gives you and all that kind of stuff. So this first button is very important. This is all your connectors. So in my case, I've created a few connectors for this demo and for my own personal use. And so you see a bunch of connectors here. If you want to see the details about any one of these, for instance, if I want to know what is blue sky posts by user, I click there and I can see a description of this as a table. Remember, I told you all data connectors essentially get the data from disparate data sources and represent them as tables. So here you see the columns of the table that are, there's a username, a text created at, so, it's telling you which user posted, what text did they post, at what time, how many likes were there, how many reposts were there, how many replies, and what is the actual URL that you can connect to that post with. One very important idea here is the idea of a required column. This is a little different than a regular database in that sense. In a regular database, all the stored data is available to you. You rarely have to say what the required column is, because you can get any data set you want. Because the Blue Sky Post is, remember, the TriggerWare is connecting you to a live data source which has an API. So you kind of have to provide some information for it to get going. You can't just get random Blue Sky posts because it will be of no relevance to you whatsoever. There are millions of users there. So you sort of have to provide something to ground the data search lookup. And so that's what the username is. And you'll notice it is a required column. So typically, in the TriggerWare data sets that you will use for live data, you sort of have to provide some input so that it can go fetch the output. So if I say, find me a prominent person like AOC, find me her posts on Blue Sky, you can get her posts back. She is the most followed person on Blue Sky, for instance. So this gives you an idea of how the connectors work. So basically, all of these things look like different types of tables and they have a category and you can configure them, and I'll get to configuration in just a bit. The connector catalog is a list of all the data sources that we have. These are data sources that TriggerWare already supports natively. In order to get you going, to accelerate your onboarding, we already have a fairly large library of data sources from which you can pull. You can install any of these data sources. So from the connector catalog, you can browse through, you can kind of see what different data sources look like. So this, for instance, is looking at the business directory for the state of California and connects directly to that data source and gets back, if you provide a keyword to search for, it'll get back the businesses that are related to that keyword and so forth. You can get SEC filings. These are all the different types of data. I mean, this is all over the map in terms of domains. Some are in the business category. You can actually search by category if you want, by looking at, search by clicking here. You can sort by that column. You can search for the specific criteria that you're interested in. So, for instance, if I'm interested in all the medical stuff, you can look for these things by keyword and group them that way, and you can pick on any one of these that you want to install. So from the connector catalog is just a list. It's like a library. From the library, you can pull whatever connectors you want and install them. So that is something that I'll get into as soon as I've explained the buttons that we have. If you find that you don't have what you need in the connector catalog, you can certainly create custom connectors for TriggerWare, that only you know about. You know where the data is, you know what kind of APIs you use or API keys you use to get the data, what credentials you may use. You can create a custom connector to pretty much anything, and then it works just like any other sort of data connector. It doesn't have to be in our catalog. You create a custom connector, and I'll show you how you can create one. Any custom connector could be created on the fly, and once it's there, you install it in pretty much the same way that the connector catalog data connectors work. The difference is when you create a custom connector, you actually have to provide an idea of where the data is or what kind of data you're looking for. And once you provide that information, I'll show you what the AI does and then what TriggerWare does to bring that information into the connectors, and it can be installed as one of your connectors. API keys are for anyone who wants to build applications using your own TriggerWare instance or to interface to this from an agent and so forth. So you can create any number of API keys, and once you create the key, you can use that API key to access your personal instance from your personal agent, from agents and other apps that you write. Triggers are very important. Those are the ones that where you are monitoring for changes to a particular query or a particular concern that you have. You can create a trigger to monitor for changes outside of the in your data universe, outside of the TriggerWare server. It will automatically connect to those at different intervals and to let you know when some criteria have changed. Queries are the things that is like the bread and butter of TriggerWare. You can create a query at any time. You want to look at the data universe, within a source, across multiple sources. All these are pretty easy to do. Something I should mention is we now support fully the whether you're talking about custom connectors, your prompt to let the TriggerWare server know what kind of data you're looking for is done in English. It's done in natural language. So, we don't have to know any special languages or anything to do it. Just converse with the AI and you can create the data connector. In the same way, you can also, like, to pull information out when you want to do a query, you can do that with just natural language and you'll be able to see that. Once in a while, like for instance, when you create different types of custom connectors and so forth, the AI will take a few minutes to work through the details. In that case, you can actually monitor that task and see what the TriggerWare platform and the AI are doing. They'll go back and forth, and you can monitor that dialogue before you settle down and see it. So that's kind of a quick overview of the overall software. So let's